What actually controversial opinion do you have? Serious? I believe two consenting adults should have the legal right to challenge each other to a duel, if they are so inclined, with no legal consequences for the winner. In Denmark we have a paragraph in our criminal law commonly known as the fight paragraph. In short, if both parties do not sustain any major injuries and the fight was fair, no one is convicted of it. 4F. STRFL 248. I think all marriages as they are now should be changed to be civil unions. Then, if you want to be married you can find a church or other entity that will marry you. But in the eyes of the government the only thing that would matter are the civil unions which are open to anyone. Keep marriage and the government separate. Bam. Marriage debate over. Edit for those saying this is not controversial. See the comment below where I'm so eloquently called a bigoted gargle shit. I would go as far to say that civil unions can be between literally any two consenting adults and does not necessitate a sexual relationship. If I'm taking care of a family member who cannot work, they live with me and rely on me, and this will not change for the foreseeable future, they should be able to take advantage of the benefits of being in a civil union. Why should two siblings, not in a sexual relationship, not be able to raise a child and get the advantages of married couple? Say the woman was married, had a kid, and the spouse dies, and now her and her brother are the primary caretakers. The uncle could possibly have problems even legally caring for the child. Edit typo. I really like this idea. At first read I was a little what? Siblings should not be in a civil union, but then I realized what you were talking about, and that would rock. I see too many people getting screwed by stupid issues. Life is not something that can be cut and paste from one person to the next. I'm tattooed all over, and I think tattoo acceptance is a crock of shit. You aren't being denied jobs because of your tattoos. You are being denied jobs because you are a self-important, egotistical douchebag. Having duck hard tattooed across your fingers does not help any, but your bullshit elitist attitude is what sank your boat before the interviewer even saw your fingers. Your visible markers of poor decision making skills only seal the deal that your crappy job history started. No, I would not hire someone whose only job experience has been Walmart greeter and McDonald fryer operator as a senior project manager or head systems analyst. And why the duck should I? And yet some shat with a full sleeve of naked girls getting fisted in the asshole thinks he is being discriminated against because he is being considered for the senior positions he constantly applies for. My tattoo artist always says to people there will be a day, no matter what, that you will want to look respectable. Which is true, but your crappy, spoiled brat attitude shits the bed way before someone even sees your tattoos. Edit misspelled greeter. Idiotic mistake on my part. Edit 2 has pointed out another misspelling. Thank you, I love this. This applies to so much more than tattoos as well. Recently with legalization of weed in Coenwa, I have heard people saying shit like, oh those corporate douchebags would not hire me because hidden agenda against weed. Etc. Nah dude, if you walked into the interview smelling like an herbarium, it is the same thing as showing up drunk. Would they hire you if you were messily drunk or talked about getting ducked up before going to work? I do not think so. Same goes for tattoos. There are definitely tasteful tattoos and all that, but like you said, having thug for life on your wrists is not going to win you any favors. It's a blatant statement to your personality lifestyle. It's not that the employers have any problem with tattoos. They have a problem with what they represent. Yay, people forget there is competition for these jobs, and picking employees is a bit of a crapshoot. It is often minor differences that makes these decisions. We should not be sending everyone to college. Not everyone is cut out for it. Not everyone is smart enough, and not everyone will get much out of it. We still need people to fix leaky pipes and roofs, to mow the lawn, to drive your kids to school on the bus, if you want to go to a trade school, to be an auto mechanic, and that is your thing. More power to you. Do what you love and do it well. If you want to get a job out of high school instead of continuing your education, you should be able to do that without scorn or unsolicited advice encouraging you to go study somewhere you do not want to go, taking on debt you may not be able to repay, The push to send everyone to college, no matter what, is ridiculous. I believe everyone should have an equal opportunity to go to college. But they definitely should not be failures if they cannot or do not want to. Switzerland has a really interesting educational system for this. First, there are different types of high schools depending on how you're doing in school. The schools for those who are planning to go to university take 3 years longer than the other types of schools. The distinction is made when students are about 12 years old. If they turn out to be late bloomers and do really well, they can still switch to the better schools either after 3 years or any time, if the teachers recommend it. If you did not go to the advanced schools, there is a whole educational system with federally standardized and controlled apprenticeships, where you spend most of your time in a company learning a specific job, but still attend school general education as well as specifics of your job. Now even if you start an apprenticeship, you have the option to take additional courses in school, so you are allowed to attend a university after you pass. Now the good thing about this system is that on every level, the education is better tailored to the individual level of skills. This goes both ways. It gives less intelligent or motivated people the option to learn a job and still have a valid education with job prospects. And it also increases the quality of all universities, as they do not have to be for everyone. Edit: wow. I did not expect my comment to get this kind of response. I realize what I have written here is just a short summary, and it cannot even begin to cover every aspect of this system. But please do not hesitate to PM me if you have any specific questions about it. The rate at which a man dies at the hands of another man is the lowest it has ever been. Yet people insist on saying, what is this world coming to whenever there is a murder? People kill other people. It sucks, but it happens, and it is nature. Even more broadly than that, all sorts of major crimes have been declining basically everywhere in the developed world for the last 20 years. Link. What hasn't he declined is media exposure of such issues, which is quite likely why polls suggest that people actually statistically are likely to believe that crime is skyrocketing. Link. Renz. Org 2013 0507 gun homicide rate down 49 since 1993 peak public unaware. Being a member of certain professions does not make you a hero. Your acts make you heroic, not your clothing. Military, cops, firemen, doctors, nurses. Those are professions that do not come with a mask and cape. Some kids need to be left the duck behind. If you aren't able to meet the standards for a certain grade level, you should not get to move to the next, because it would hurt your feelings if not. These kids are seriously dumbing down our schools. Instead of teaching to the lowest denominator, we need to teach to the highest and actually challenge children to learn. I think maybe we should start teaching trades to younger kids. A kid that has no skill with calculus might just be the best ducking electrician or plumber you've ever seen. But he would not know that until he has already had to sit through years of feeling stupid because he does not understand hard mathematical or language concepts. It is such a shame how trades are practically looked down upon here in the US. There were a ton of people in my engineering class who would have made much better tradesmen than engineers. Unfortunately, we have this stigma that everyone needs a 4-year degree, which I will never understand. Putting a child up for adoption is the best thing a family who cannot support it can do. A lot of people think that people do this just because they cannot take the responsibility. Sometimes this is true, but most time, this is complete BS. I recently commented how cool adoption was for all parties, biological adopters and adoptee, around an adopted girl, and I got weird looks, like I was bashing her or something. Apparently you aren't allowed to even be supportive of adoption. I think it really depends. We talk about adoption as if it is all the same thing, when it is really not. There are the white unborn babies and infants that are desirable and parents fight over. That situation seems mostly like a win-win-win for all parties. However, then there are the older kids, often minorities, who often come from very troubled home lives and are very disturbed. Then they get additionally shit on by bouncing around foster care with no consistent environment to grow, and often abusive situations. Foster parents will take them for a test drive and then reject them. when they read too difficult. This side of adoption and foster care is very sad and messy, and perhaps that's why the girl was offended or thought you misinformed. As long as you are not morally committing wrongdoings, there is no reason to dehumanize prostitution. It is still work, and it is just a service. Not much different than a salon lady giving a pedicure or masseurs, as in someone who gives massages. Not a hooker, same thing. Doing work in service is giving personal pleasure. Assisted suicide should be legal in all 50 states. It seems that the people against it are not in the same positions as the ones wanting to die with dignity. I think it should be legal too, but I think it'd be wrong to force a doctor or nurse to assist if they oppose it. Make it legal, but do not force someone to help kill if they are against it. Laws should have an expiration date of, I do not know, 10 years and then brought back up to see if it is still relevant. I want to buy Cuban cigars, damn it. Climbing Mount Everest is not a real accomplishment anymore. Sherpas do most of the work. Climbing it without Sherpas using no oxygen is an accomplishment, and an astounding one. You have these rich people that should not step foot on the mountain just ducking getting piggybacked, and the worst part is they put their lives at danger because they aren't physically ready for it, or they little to no climbing experience. It is certainly not easy, and not everyone who pays for it makes it to the top. Just because you are rich does not mean you will summit. It is far easier than it used to be, though. I have gotten into plenty of arguments over this, and found no one that agrees with me, so I think foreign aid to starving African nations is a waste of time. Africa has everything it needs to be a self-sufficient, contributing region of the world, but is unable to do so because of the savage and conflicting natures of the parties in power there. I wholeheartedly believe that the Western world should withdraw aid, because until Africa can learn to stand on its own, it will never have a real place on the global stage. This, of course, excludes aid for natural disasters. I'm not a monster. Not just that. There is a mountain of evidence that the aid we do provide is stolen or otherwise procured by warlords or corrupt governments, and they use it to lord over the people. Money, food, whatever. It is actively hurting people. Most people on Reddit who comment about the economy do not know what the hell they are talking about, and probably buy into something they saw or heard in the media, or worse on Reddit itself. The hiver mind can be really ducking dumb about economics and US government policy. One of my favorite articles from The Onion is about that. Man who understands 8 of Obamacare vigorously defends it from man who understands 5. Link. Not all cultures are equal. Certain behaviors should not be tolerated because it is their culture. If your culture treats one gender as a second-class citizen, condones rape of married women who refuse sex with their husbands, stones women to death for infidelity, treats homosexuality as a crime or illness, etc., then you do not deserve equal treatment. You are scum. Your behavior and your culture is immoral and disgusting. You do not get a free pass on tolerance and acceptance. Because you are not my equal, I'm not going to blow you up or shoot you, though. Every person who dies becomes an organ donor. You do not have rights once you are dead. That should be the default option. If you did not explicitly say that you do not want to be an organ donor, then you become one. Now it is the opposite. The default option is no donor. But beware, if you become a no donor, do not expect to be first in the list in case you need an organ. Opt out for donor organs makes so much sense. Who cares anyway? Cut me up when I'm dead. If you find one inside me that does a decent job, give it to someone who needs it. I will just be feeding worms with it anyway. Karma should not exist on Reddit. As in, we should still be able to vote on individual posts and comments, but the amount of upvotes that a user has should not be attached to their username. Without karma, there would be no karma whores or people posting crappy content and comments just for as many upvotes as possible. We could actually have controversial debates because people would not be afraid of lowering their scores. It would become like 4chan. Instead of karma whoring, people will be attention whoring, trying to grab your attention with controversial titles or trolling comments.